Hi everyone, thank you for joining us. We will start the webinar now in just a few minutes, so we're going to just wait until a few more join us. If you have any questions, please pop them into our question and answers box, which you'll find up here on the top, and we will address them at the end. So today our presentation will be conducted by Dr. Barry McCarran and Vanessa in Calcaterra here at KORE Retrofit. So we'll just give it another few seconds now to see if we have any more joining us, and then we will get going. This webinar is recorded and you'll be able to view it afterwards. We'll have it up on YouTube. If you have any further questions, you can also pop questions in right now to our Q&A box. Now I think we will begin. I will hand you over now to Dr. Barry McCarran, who will introduce our webinar. Thank you, Barry.
Thanks very much, Lisa. Good evening, everyone. Great to see we're up at 18 now. Just joining us this evening, which is excellent. It's what we wanted. The discussion, I suppose, inside the office ahead of just doing this webinar tonight was, what phrase, what wording can we use that would be attractive now that the dark evenings are setting in and most people are thinking about comfort levels in their home. And it was a very good idea maybe to put forward, this concept of the 100 grand secret and how to transform your vacant derelict home with KORE Retrofit. That's really the title of the event here tonight. And that really comes from, I suppose, three real Lego bricks that are available to everyone that's maybe in the right situation at the right time with respects to retrofitting their home. And that is the Vacant Derelict grant that's on offer. Offers €50,000 if your house is vacant, a potential €20,000 on top of the 50,000 if it's derelict. And then through the one-stop shop arrangement, you can get up to 33,000, which brings you over the €100,000 mark in terms of support for your intervention on your home. So really that's where the context comes from. We've I suppose a breakdown here tonight where hopefully by the end of this session we're going to have outlined the challenges that exist around retrofitting and what pertains to this area of retrofit, how KORE Retrofit help in this process for people undertaking a project and the range of services we can offer. We're also going to pull out one of our success stories in terms of a case study to maybe help articulate and consolidate everything with respect to this. And then we're also going to paint a picture as to why now is the right time to do it. And hopefully if we tick all the boxes in that, this will be a really useful and informative session for everybody who's took the time out here to join us tonight. So really, KORE, I just want to give a wee introduction to KORE. We're an SME based in County Cavan. With that, we've two sides to the business. We've KORE Insulation, which is the other side of the business. And there we're on that side of the business, a manufacturer of EPS insulation. So that's really all aspects of ventilation. There's solutions for your roof, your walls and your floors with the other side of the business. But of course, this is KORE Retrofit, and we are one of the SEI registered one-stop shops. And with that, we can handle the grant application processes for this area of vacant derelict. And again, we've built up expertise in this. We're well into double figures now in terms of these applications, and Vanessa and our team leads out on that. And then as well, we've also got familiarity working with almost into double figures now with respect to each of the councils around the country, and we are nationwide with this. So without maybe further ado, that's probably enough for me for now, and we'll bring Vanessa in, who is the person in our sales team, sales coordinator, who really has been, at the cold face of this and is best placed to help step us through and give us an understanding of some of what I've already provided for you. So Vanessa, we'll hand over to yourself.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Barry, and good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining. So I suppose what I'm doing this evening is really just explaining and highlighting what this grant, who this grant is for, how this grant can help homeowners who are looking to refurbish either a vacant or a derelict property, and kind of just highlight the benefits of it, and how you can maximise on the grants by also combining it with the SEAI retrofit grants as well. So I suppose just a little bit about what the vacant property grant is. So it's funding basically for homes that are vacant and of derelict status in this country. So really, if you have a home out there or you're looking at purchasing a home that is vacant or has been vacant for 2 years or more, you can apply for this grant through your local county council. So the key point here really is to highlight that you don't necessarily have to own the property right now. You can be in the process of purchasing the home. So for any first-time buyers out there as well, I suppose this is really attractive to them as well. As Barry mentioned, you can get up to 50,000 if the house is vacant, and you can get a further 20,000 if you can prove that the house is of derelict status. To do that, there's a couple of ways that we can prove that, and I'll get into that then as the slides go on. These slides will be shared with you at the end of this recording, this presentation, so you will have them to refer back to. So if I don't cover everything in the slides, feel free to ask questions at the end, but you will have it all at the end as well. All right. Okay, so I suppose the key eligibility criteria here is that the property does have to be vacant for 2 years or more. And we have to prove that to the council. So it can't just be a phone call to say, listen, the house is empty the last 2 years. It does have to be proven. So there's ways of doing that. And again, as I said, I'll get into that as we go through the slides. The property does have to have been built before 2008 as well. And you do have to either be moving into the house as your primary residency or renting it out, and be registered as a landlord with the RTB if you're doing that as well. Again, you can't be a developer or a company, it can't go in the name of a company or a developer, so it does have to be at the homeowner that's applying as well. Okay, and as well, another point to mention there is that you can claim the grant twice. So obviously one being that it's your primary residency, and then the second that you're renting out. So if you're lucky enough to have 2 properties that are eligible, you can apply twice. Okay. So again, this is just a quick synopsis of the works that are covered in the grants. Again, just to mention both grants that are available here. You've got your local county council grant, vacant derelict, or you have your SEAI retrofit grants as well. So your SEAI side of things are focused on the retrofit and the energy upgrade measures. So anything that really affects the BER rating of the house. So if you're starting off at an F rating or a G rating, which most derelict properties would be, you can avail of grants towards the insulation, the renewables that you're putting into the house, and really improving it up to an A3 minimum is what we would be looking for. The works covered by the local county council are a little bit different, and the works that I suppose you can apply for funding are a little bit different. This is really focusing on your renovation, your finishes, so the likes of your carpentry, your plastering, skirting boards, those finer details, your painting and decorating, but also if there's any demolition or structural work to be done to the house as well, this will be covered, and we can apply for funding towards those under the county council grant as well. So again, just a breakdown of what you can get. On the right hand side, you can kind of see the maximum amount you can get from the councils towards each category. If you have any questions on whether or not the works that you're on your project will qualify, or whether your home will qualify for this grant, any member of our team will be happy to have a consultation with you. So please, we will leave our details at the end. Please do reach out to us. We're more than happy to give some information there. Perfect. So if you, as I said, if you're lucky enough to own one of these homes, and I do want to reiterate it, you are lucky if you have one of these homes out there, because you have an opportunity to avail of some brilliant funding that's out there, and also really restore a home and give it character again. And also, I suppose, for a lot of first-time buyers out there, this is a real viable option for them. What do you need to apply though? Obviously, as I mentioned, you do have to have proof that the house has been vacant for 2 years or more, and there's a number of ways to do that. I suppose in our expertise, we know how to prove to the councils that the house has been vacant, and we know how to work with homeowners to make sure that they can do that. A couple of, just to point out, would be the likes of your electricity connection and usage. So really getting a clearance from ESB to say that the house has been 2 years vacant or more. Another option could be to get an affidavit from a solicitor, or a letter from your auctioneer to say that the house has been vacant. So there are ways. It's not very black and white. And as I said, we do have expertise in this. So do give us a call. We'd be more than happy to approach it case by case with you, and see how we can help you along. We're here to try and help you get as much funding as possible. So just want to reiterate that. Another couple of things that you'd need is you'll need proof of planning permission if it's needed. So if the house is in a conservationist area, if you were doing an extension, if you're changing the facade to the front of the house, anything like that you'll need planning permission for. If you're unsure, give us a call. We can always help you on that. But you will need proof of planning permission as part of the application. And again, a quote for the work is the key thing that we can help out with here. I suppose the service that we're offering is that we can give you a full grant administration service, but we also have a network of contractors nationwide that we can connect you with, which means we really are the one-stop shop in the sense that you're coming to us. We can do everything from grant administration, getting you an assessment at the start, to getting you a contractor that can do the work, covered by both grants as well. And then again, there's a couple of differences depending on whether you're owning the property or whether you're going to be renting the property out. But again, please, if you do have any questions, give us a call and we'd be able to go through them with you, dependent on your specific case. So this is just a quick overview of the process and how the process would happen with ourselves if you were to inquire and if you had one of these vacant properties. So the first step is obviously to have a call with us and have a consultation. So our team are very knowledgeable in both grants and how to help homeowners. So that consultation usually consists of 15 to 20 minutes, depending on the house and how many houses you're inquiring about as well. And then usually in that call, we try to get a feel for what's the homeowner looking for, what does the property need, and how can we best approach it, and what are the next steps, because there's so many moving parts to these applications. We want to make it as seamless for the homeowner as possible. So having this consultation really allows us to get a clear overview of what the property needs and what the homeowner needs and how we can move forward. The important bit and the paperwork side of things is proving what the house is. So your assessment is, you've got the letters there, HEA, your home energy assessment and your structural report. So the home energy assessment kind of comes into play on the SAI side of things. This is a technical assessment carried out by a BER assessor who will give you a full report on the energy efficiency of your property and how's your property working to keep itself warm, how's it using its energy, and how can we improve that. So within that home energy assessment, you will have a roadmap on showing you from getting, let's say, from an F rating to an A rating, and what measures need to be done to do that. And then we can also let you know what grants you'd be eligible for from that report. The structural report will only really apply to if your house is vacant and you think that it would be classed as derelict. We would advise getting a structural report if you feel that there's any structural problems with the home, or if you're just unsure, there's no harm in getting one. You can never be too safe. But if we do get a structural report on a house and it claims that the house is structurally unsound or deemed dangerous to live in, then you are eligible to apply for that further 20,000 from the county council, which means you'd be getting 70,000 from them towards the project, and then you could be getting up to a potential 30,000 from the SAI as well. So if you are in doubt, by all means, it said, give us a call. We'd be more than happy to advise on whether we think you should go for the structural report or not. And again, if it's the difference 20,000, you can never be too sure. So when those reports come back, what we do is we book you in for a home energy assessment review call. And what we'll do in that call is really just, again, recap over, okay, where are we with the grant progress, but also, are we still on the same path? Are we still aiming towards that goal that the homeowner set out with initially? And then making sure that we're meeting the criteria of both grants with these assessments and reports that we get back. So during that call, again, what we'll do is recap over the next steps for the homeowner and for ourselves. And if the homeowner seems happy to, I suppose, progress with getting the pricing for the works that have been recommended, then we will allocate it to a contractor in our network. So I don't know if I've mentioned it yet, but we do operate nationwide. And as Barry mentioned at the start, we're up on double figures there for the grants that we've applied with, meaning we've worked with a numerous amount of the county councils across the country. They differ in how they process their applications. And I suppose that again adds to the expertise that we have. We know how they all work. And we can, I suppose, predict if there's any delays or if there's anything specific that council is looking for, we can help out there as well. So we've allocated it to a contractor. We've gotten a quote back from the contractor and we present it now to the homeowner. This quote then will highlight the works that are SAI grant eligible and the works that the county council will fund. We split them up because they do have to be kept separate. So meaning if you want to apply for the SAI grants, there's a certain amount of works that can go through that grant application. And again, if you want to apply for the council, there's a certain amount of works that will go through that application as well. We can't double dip, meaning if I give you an example of windows, if we have windows that need to be replacing, and most vacant houses they do, there is a grant from the SAI towards your windows. So for a detached house, an example, you get up to €4,000 towards your window upgrade. That means that we're not putting windows on our vacant property grant. Okay, so just to make sure that we all know that you can't double dip on it and we can't put the same works on the same on the two applications. But where we come in is that we know how to make sure to maximize on both grants for you. So we know that if there's works that are not really you're not really getting a grant from the SAI towards, but we know you could put it onto your vacant property grant, we make sure that we review the quotes as accurately as possible, and then we will make sure we maximize on both grant applications for you as well. And again, each case is different, so we'll review it with the homeowners before proceeding. If the homeowner is happy with their quotation, then we will start the application process and gathering the information that we need from the homeowner. So we're very open and transparent from the very start that there is a lot of paperwork required from the homeowner, but we're here to help and make that as easy as possible. So like that, if we can do, any of the forms for the homeowners, we will. And we do give them a package at the very start to say, this is what this council is specifically looking for. Start gathering this now. And the earlier we have that, the better. It speeds up the process when we apply. So that'll lead us to the homeowners accepted the quotation. We can submit the vacant property grant to the council, and then we can also submit it to the SAI. There's a bit of a balancing act there. And again, we have great knowledge in that field of not running before we can walk. So we'll put the county council application in first because they do tend to take the longest to approve. Each council is different. It's no set rule or set timeline for each council. But we would submit that grant application first, and then we would submit the SAI. And again, fully transparent with the homeowner throughout this process, trying to make it as seamless for them as possible and making sure that they're in the know at each step as it goes along. When we receive approval in principle from the vacant property officer, what that'll look like is the vacant property officer will visit your house. They will make sure that everything we've put on the application is what they see when they go out. and making sure that you're not applying for anything that isn't covered by the grant, and that you're not applying for anything that's unnecessary as well. So that's important. They'll give you approval in principle then of either the 50 or the 70,000. And from the day that you receive that approval in principle, you've 13 months to complete the work. So I suppose, again, as part of our service, we're making sure that you're maximising on the time you have to complete the work, meaning we're getting all of our ducks in a row beforehand so that when you get that approval in principle, we can hit the ground running. And again, as I said, once we get that approval in principle, we can submit the SAI application, which usually only takes a day or two to come in and be confirmed. Okay. And then everything's all signed, ready, set up to go and get work started on site, and contracts are signed. So again, that's a very general overview of the process with ourselves. We'd be more than happy to go into it in further detail on how it applies to your property and your project. So again, do reach out to us. So again, it is important to note that you might not get the maximum amount of grants from either the vacant property grant or from the SEAI, one-stop shop grants, but we do try to maximise on it as much as we possibly can. So with the SEAI grants, the grants are, I suppose, set for the house type that you have and the measures that you're doing. And for the vacant derelict, we can put as much as we need to on the vacant property application. But again, it is ultimately down to that vacant housing officer to give you the approval. So, you know, we have a great success rate on that at the moment, where we haven't really seen any applications come back where they don't get the 50 or they don't get the 70 in their approval in principle. And again, we have a success rate there on people getting the full 50 and 70,000 towards the end and drawing down as well. So again, just to give them that example of the windows and doors, we can't double dip, and you know, just to highlight that you can apply for both grants at the same time, and that's what we're here to help with. So the terms and conditions, the part we all love. The clawback here, I suppose, is very important to highlight as well, and especially depending on if you are living in the house or renting the house out. This applies to both scenarios. If you get the local property council grant, there is a clawback that if you were to sell the house or move and put the house up again for sale, you up to from the day you get the grant up to 5 years, you would be eligible or liable, I suppose, to pay 100% of that grant back to the county council. There is a legal charge over the property from the council when you get this grant, and that is active for 10 years. Over 5 years, so between 5 and 10 years, if you decide to sell the house and move on, you have to pay 75% of that value back to the council. And then over 10 years, the clawback is not over the property anymore, and the legal charge is not over the property anymore. So you can sell the house then at that stage as well. I suppose a nugget of information here as well that we've learned along the way is that if you decide to do this grant application and take on this project now, and you say, okay, I'm going to rent the house out now for the next 10 years, but situation changes throughout that 10 years and you decide, well, I actually would like to live in the house as my primary residency now, that can be done. You can, inform the county council in the proper ways of going through a solicitor and informing the council to let them know that you'd be changing over. That there should be no problem there from what we've seen with other applicants there. And again, vice versa, if you want to change it from primary residency to rental, that can also be done as well. As long as you take the right precautions to register with the RTB and communicate with the council, there shouldn't be a problem there as well. So this is a case study that we have from a house here in Dublin. And I suppose the beauty in this case study is that it's your average bungalow that you see around Ireland, lovely little bungalow, but a significant improvement on the BER rating from an F to a B2 rating. A nice cozy home at the end of it, but not a lot of work had to be done here. But this homeowner was able to avail of 50,000 from the county council and 30,000 from the SEAI towards the project. So not a lot of money from the homeowner's pocket had to go towards this. The key elements of work that they did to the house was they put external wall insulation on. They changed the windows from single pane to triple glazed windows. They did underfloor insulation, and they also did a new roof and heating system. So they changed from an old boiler to an air-to-water heat pump. So that brought the house up to a B2. If they wanted to go to an A1 rating or an A rating, they could have added renewables in, like solar panels, and that would have brought them into the A-rated home, but they didn't need to. The minimum was B2, and they were still able to avail of their grants here. And now they have a nice energy-efficient home, a cozy home, and a home that's not costing them an alarm and a leg to run. So again, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I'll just come in there and add in another thing that sort of is relevant just when we were looking at properties like this. I think at the moment there's like 300,000 bungalows in Ireland. It's almost 15% of all buildings that are homes in the domestic space. So what Vanessa just presented there as a case study is very, very repeatable. And again, because the bungalows are very consistent in terms of their design. And we all know just what we're looking at and just how familiar it is. So I think that's worth just adding in on top. But back to you, Vanessa.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And again, I just want to reiterate, there wasn't a lot to be done, but they really were able to maximise on both grants here as well. Obviously, we can advise on, more complex homes as well. Our case studies range from houses like this to traditional homes, which I will talk a little bit about in the next couple of slides. But if you want to see any more of our case studies and projects that we've done before and afters, our website has a lot of case studies there and some really good testimonials from homeowners too. Okay, so as I said, the traditional home scheme and traditional homes are something that we've become accustomed to in the last couple of years here in KORE, and it's something we're very passionate about as well. So the traditional home pilot scheme was introduced by SCAI in the last year or so. And what this scheme is, it's a specific SCAI scheme to help homes that are traditional or built before 1940s avail of these grants, but making sure that we're availing of the grants, but the measures that we're applying to these homes are suited and specific to the materials that these homes were built with. So it's making sure that we're using the right insulation methods, making sure that we're not doing anything to the house that can damage, I suppose, the character of the house, but also be detrimental to the structure or how that house runs, specifically when it comes to ventilation as well. We want to make sure that we're addressing that in the proper way. So this traditional home scheme allows the homeowners to still avail of the grants from the SCAI, but I suppose the measures and the materials we can use have been open to a variety of materials now that weren't accepted beforehand. This is applicable to a lot of vacant and derelict homes out there. So if you have a house and you're a homeowner that has a house like an old stone cottage, or your old farmhouse, and the walls are 3 foot thick, then you're looking at a traditional home scheme application. It doesn't change the grant amount. You'll still get the same grant amounts from the SCAI and the council. However, it does change how we look at the house and how we insulate it, how we heat it, and what can we do to the house to improve the BER rating. So with that, I suppose the key thing to point out here is that if you do need to go through that pilot scheme, and if we do need to do an application through the SCAI under this scheme, we do need to make sure that we have a traditional building professional signed on for the job. And again, it is case by case, and not all houses are needing to go through this scheme. But if you think your house qualifies for it, please do give us a call. We'd be more than happy to explain what that traditional building professional does, and I suppose how we can help you. We can put you in contact with one that we work with nationwide. So I don't know if you want to add anything on that one, Barry.
No, not really. I suppose one of the thoughts that I just had in my head is around this space as well. And it's more general. It's not specific to the traditional homes. But with the cost of new build, we are seeing, I suppose, an uptick in interest, Vanessa, in our sales department around the appetite that's out there for traditional homes, for vacant, for derelict. People are looking at them in a new way. We think that that's maybe quite driven by the high costs of new build and a lot of the red tape that's there, and connections to electric, connections to water, sewerage, and all of that. With a lot of these existing buildings, a lot of those sort of connections and different things exist. So I suppose just to underline that point as we go through the general narrative of all of this tonight. Yeah, so I'll hand back to you again, Vanessa.
Sorry, I think we missed the last bit there, Barry, but I don't know if you want to repeat that last bit.
Oh, did I cut out?
Yeah, just slightly.
Oh no, right, okay. So yeah, I was just saying about the demand and the appetite around traditional buildings, vacant derelict buildings, and how one of the drivers that's coming in really into this space that we're sort of experiencing in the sales department is around the high cost of new build. And one of the other things that drives into that as well is around the utilities and the various connections that all exist. If one, and Vanessa outlined it there in terms of the demographics, people looking at this and first-time buyers, people looking to invest, different things like this. There's a lot of accelerated opportunity there with having these existing connections and everything in place. And it means that, with a grant through the likes of us and dealing with us, you end up not having to maybe experience long lead times before a project can sort of commence. So it's one of the other pluses that we're seeing that we just haven't covered in the slide, so I thought it was worth coming in with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. I suppose, and again, just to highlight that last point there, is that the expertise that we bring is that we're the SEAI is our bread and butter, and that's what we're doing. We're the first one-stop shop registered in Ireland, so we're doing it the longest, and we've kissed a lot of frogs, and we've seen a lot of before and afters, and I suppose we're doing it the longest. We've seen a lot of scenarios presented to us, so there's no project or property out there that we would ever say, we would never not entertain a conversation about it. So don't be, if you have a house out there and you're unsure whether these grants apply to you, don't be afraid to pick up the phone and give us a call, because there's always a way around things, and we'd be more than happy to help with your project. So if you're in doubt, just give us a shout there. And I think that wraps us up. There was just one more thing I wanted to highlight that we didn't cover there. Apologies. If you are really interested, and if you're looking at starting one of these projects maybe in the next few months, and you've just recently bought one of these properties, the key thing to highlight is that if you do want to apply for the SEAI grants and the vacant property grants as well, the house must have an air code and an MPRN number as well. So if that's something that is ringing alarm bells in your head thinking, I don't have any of those or either of those now, the reason I'm highlighting that is because they're the two elements of a project that take the longest. So if you are thinking of starting one of these projects in the next couple of months and you don't have those elements in place, give us a call. We'd be more than happy to share information on how you can apply for those. And again, we might send some information out after this just on that as well. All right.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, Barry. So guys, if you want to pop any questions into our Q&A box, you'll find it just at the top of your screen. And I'll start now with a few of the questions. So thank you firstly to Lee, who sent in some questions. So the first one is, my building is a protected structure. I have to keep the existing single glaze windows. Can I use the grant for secondary glazing? Otherwise, I won't be able to bring up the BER. What advice can you give to people who have a protected structure in a heritage area? What can the grant be used on in this case?
Yeah, Vanessa,
take that one, Barry.
yeah,
oh, yeah.
I'm happy to deal with it. So I'll ask Vanessa just on the single glazing and the secondary glazing. As to the best of my knowledge, I don't think that gets a grant.
Unfortunately not. No, it would have to be a full window replacement upgrade that you'd be doing. However, obviously with the protected structures, there are ways and windows that can be used still with preserving the conservational orders over the property as well. Again, a conversation to be had with the architect and the traditional building professional there on that. And again, it could be the case that we replace the windows with a sash window, or if that's applicable to the house. But again, a conversation with your architect and ourselves would be needed there, Lee. So please feel free to reach out to us afterwards, and we can give you more information on that. And Barry might be able to highlight some more.
Yeah, so the only other bit I would add is that was very early in the webinar tonight. So Vanessa later on, after Lee asked that initial question, did cover in depth the traditional homes. But again, speaking to Lee directly on this, don't be afraid to give the office a call, and again we'll be able to walk through your own project specifically. Lisa, if you want to pick out another one there.
Yeah. So Lee had another question about the grant amount. Will it be increasing for the vacant and derelict properties in the budget coming up?
We have no idea. I suppose everything is possible. One of the things that I would say that we were trying to cover tonight in this is why now is the right time. And again, like anything, if the ball is in the air and the money's on the table and the grant is available today, I would very much look at it from the point of view that apply now when the going's good. And I mean, I'm not saying that you don't ignore what's maybe coming. Of course, the budget's coming. We'll be looking at that very closely as a company as well. But at this moment in time, the grant's there. So, you know, if you are somebody that's all this and every hand and glove is met and every box is ticked and you're ready to proceed, I wouldn't be dilly-dallying either. I would get involved as soon as possible. So that's my sort of response around that. Again, Lisa, we'll throw back to you.
Yeah. So Lee had a final question about bank offerings, and are they offering bridging loans for somebody with a couple of properties? Now, bear in mind as well, Vanessa had said about 2 properties with the vacant and derelict grant. So can I give this one to you, Vanessa?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, there is funding and loans that are available there through a number of I suppose routes that you can go down. The main one that we're really familiar with and has been popular over the last few months is the SBCI low cost financing loan scheme. This is available specifically with homeowners that are going through a one-stop shop. So the loan is available for homeowners that have had a home energy assessment done with this one-stop shop, and it's available through all major lending banks at the moment. AIB, Permanent TSB, and Bank of Ireland being your main ones there. The grant of the loan is up to 75,000 that you can borrow against eligible retrofit works that you're doing to the house. And again, it can be used obviously towards the cost of the renovation as well. Under the vacant property grant. There's a few caveats to that, and again, we could go into that in more detail. It is kind of case by case, project specific there. So if you have any questions in relation to a specific project, we'd be more than happy to answer it. You know, on a call. The main thing to point out there as well, and something that I could have mentioned earlier on, is that if you are applying for the vacant property grant or the derelict property grant through your county council and you're using the house as your primary residency, let's say, for example, you put 70,000 worth of works on your application, but that is repairing the house because the house is in need of a lot of structural repair, might need a new roof, might need some rewiring, might need a lot of groundworks as well. You could potentially see 70,000 go very quickly on works like that without even touching any of the energy upgrade works at this stage, or your finishes or plastering or anything like that. And we have been, you know, given confirmation from the council that if you're using the house as your primary residency and you are up to, let's say, that 70,000 of work, you've completed that work that's covered under the 70,000 you've applied for, you can start the drawdown process from the council at that stage while still works are continuing. So that kind of helps bridge the gap as well. And so if, let's say, you've repaired walls structurally, you put a new roof on the house, and that's covered, that 70,000 is gone, draw down from the council at that stage while the works are ongoing, and again that might help bridge the gap. So I hope I've explained that properly, but again, if you've any house specific questions, do give us a call.
Thanks, Vanessa. Now our next question is from Noel. He asks, what if I want to extend the property by 40 meters squared within planning exemption guidelines? Can the local contractor build the extension and refurbish the existing cottage?
Yeah, I'll take that one again. So yeah, as I mentioned, we get a contractor that will cover and will do the works covered by both grant applications, which would include extensions and even past the 40 meters squared if you would like to do so. We can also help by connecting you, as I said, with an architect, or if your house falls under the traditional home scheme, we can connect you with a traditional building professional as well there to help with if it's drawings, if it's planning permission, anything like that. We can connect you with somebody from our network there. So yeah, our contractors can cover all that work.
Thanks, Vanessa. So Sean has a question. If a couple have two houses, can you get the grant for one house if it's registered to the wife's name and the other in the husband's name? So one each.
Yeah, like I said, each, as long as you are the homeowner, the rules and terms and conditions state that you can apply for two applications under the local county council. So if you are a homeowner that has two houses under your name, then yes, you can apply. Technically, you can apply for two. So yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, Vanessa. And Jessica has asked, can the SAI and Vacant Homes grant be availed of in conjunction with the Living Cities initiative? So maybe one for you, Barry.
Yeah, so just I was reading the text there. Sorry, Lisa, just say that again.
Can the SAI and Vacant Homes grant be availed of in conjunction with the Living Cities initiatives?
No, I see that. Yeah, so as far as I know, I think, Vanessa, that would be a no, because I think that's layering on another grant on top. But I'm not familiar with the Living Cities initiative, or what funding in particular is within that. Well, we could definitely.
And JD has asked one for you, Barry. How is the passive house going? Well, I can tell you it's complete.
Yes, this is a great one. I'm not sure who JD is in particular, but yeah, in terms of us and our house and everything here, really glad to report it's performing totally as expected, and that's not me embellishing anything. In terms of indoor air quality, I think that's the bit that I've really sort of enjoyed experiencing. In terms of temperature, it's brilliant. We don't have an overheating issue. The indoor air quality's gone from around 1,000 CO2 to 500, and relative humidity is like a stable thing. And then away from that sort of geeky aspect of it, in terms of performance, the heating bill for the house in terms of that is definitely under 500 each of the 2 years. So we really are probably reaping the benefits of it. Yeah, that's probably a fair enough answer on it.
Thanks, Barry. And just the one that came in earlier on as well was, what will be the timeline, for example, when somebody applies from the first initial call, say, for example, tomorrow, until the completion of a house? What's your average timeline, Vanessa?
Yeah, I suppose it's kind of a how long is a piece of string question. And the main variable there is unfortunately the county council's turnaround time there. So each county council differs on the process and application stage, and how many steps they have in their own internal processes as well. That can impact how long it takes. So But on average, I suppose it could give you a very rough timeline with ourselves. The initial home energy assessment stage is usually 2 to 3 weeks to get the assessment, and maybe another week or so to get the reports back. And we schedule that review call in pretty much as soon as we have the reports back, and as soon as the homeowners are able to facilitate a call with us. And then again, the contractor process, we have a network of contractors that we work with nationwide. So you're looking at on 5 to 6 weeks to get a contractor out to the site and get you a pricing back. But again, depending on the area, depending on the size of the project as well. There's so many variables to these projects, so it really is a matter of having that initial consultation call with us to talk through your project specifically. Another variable to throw in there to the mix is planning permission. If you need to apply for planning permission, that could also delay process as well. So I'd love to be able to give a definite answer on that, but I'm afraid I can't. But as I said, more than happy to help talk through your project specifically.
Thanks, Vanessa. And another one about how long is a piece of string is the costs, the project management costs for KORE Retrofit.
Yeah, so again, it's a set project management fee for your house. So if you are applying for both the SCAI grants and the vacant property grant, the project management fee is at the end, or sorry, for the application is 1,850. So 1,850, and then the set project management fee for overall when you get to work, so that's when you've signed contracts with ourselves and works are ongoing, is 6,765. So that's the same fee for all houses. However, each house will have a different grant available to them from the SAI towards that fee. So I'll take a detached house as an example. For a detached house, you'd get €2,000 off that project management fee as well. We can also put that 1,850 service fee that we charge for the grant administration, that chunk of payment that you're making to us, we can put that through as professional services on your vacant property application form as well. So that can be covered under that.
Thanks, Vanessa. And another one in, can you apply for an extension on the 13 months build programme?
Yeah, I'll take that one again. You can, but again, within reason. So I suppose if I give you an example of somebody that might apply for that grant and get approved, but maybe wait and go on a nice traveling excursion for 8 months and decide that they'll start the process maybe 8 or 10 months down the line, and they've to start really from scratch by getting a contractor. I don't know if the council would be as lenient there, but they are, they're realists. They will look at each situation, and if it's the case that you are in the middle of a project, you have a contractor on site, but again, things that can happen within construction that can delay. They will, they're not out to get you. They will listen to all of these scenarios and give extensions where possible. Thankfully, we haven't had to apply on any ourselves, but we have been assured by the council that we can do so if needed. Again, the benefit of ourselves as well, the service that we offer and the expertise we offer is that we try and maximise on both of your lead times and that you have for both your time periods that you have for your grants. So yes, it's 13 months to get your vacant property work done, but there's 12 months to get your SEI work done. So like that, we try to get your, the work that's covered in the vacant property done first, because it's usually structural work, it's usually groundworks, and then we can start your retrofit works from the SEI. So we don't apply for that SEI application until it's actually necessary and we're starting those works. So again, maximising on your grants, but also maximising on the time you have to complete the project.
Thanks, Vanessa. And another one for you now, Vanessa. Can a homeowner apply for SEAI and vacant homes and local authority heritage grants for a protected structure once works are claimed for?
I'm not sure about if I understand the question. So if you've already submitted your application to the county council and you've been approved in principle, I would assume it's too late to apply for that heritage grant. But again, I'd probably run that by your local county council. usually that heritage grant is more so an advisory, is a grant towards an advisory role. So you'd probably be getting that, help from that expert at the start of the project. So I don't see how you'd be applying for it maybe after the works and came forward. Maybe I've misunderstood that question. Sorry.
No.
Yep.
Pretty good answer.
And just now for everybody that's on the call, what is the first step if they've got a vacant or derelict home now? What will they do? Will they ring us all tomorrow at 9 a.m.?
Yeah, I probably sound like a broken record at this stage, but no, please do. We have an inquiry form on our website, which will kind of, I suppose, qualify you a little bit. It'll ask you a couple of questions, whether or not the grants are the best route for your property and your project. But no, you can ring us tomorrow, next week, whenever you're ready to take the first step. But again, it is having that call, and we can really look at your project specifically and what your goals are, and line it up to see if it matches what the criteria for the grants are.
Perfect, thank you. You guys, Barry or Vanessa, have you any final words?
I don't know if Vanessa has, but I'll finish up if you do.
Yeah, no, I just want to say thanks very much for everybody joining, and yeah, thank you.
Brilliant. The last thing from me is pretty much a thank you as well. I think, even from myself listening on to Vanessa, running us through all of that tonight as well, you can see the variant, like all retrofit, almost no two jobs are the same. And with that, it can be very challenging as a topic to engage with. For us to explain everything. But I think tonight was really good. It was really valuable. There will be the recording in this. The slides will be sent out as well. So again, do give us feedback. I would encourage that. The marketing team in particular, who put time and effort into this, along with myself and Vanessa for tonight, would really appreciate that. If you thought that this webinar was good, and maybe some others on similar topics might be good, please feed that back into us. We'd very much welcome that. But otherwise, thanks everybody for coming, and a big shout out to Lisa and Vanessa here as well with respect to that. And we'll let everybody get back to their comfortable evening, and hopefully a bit of Netflix now that the darkness has descended on us. Okay, yeah, if you want to close us out then, Lisa.
Yeah. Thanks very much, everybody. And as Barry said, you can contact us on our website, www.koreretrofit.com. You can find us on all social media channels. You can also email us at info@koreretrofit.com. And in the Q&A box, I've popped in our phone number, but it is on our website. So it's koreretrofit.com. And yeah, send us any feedback or questions you may have. And hopefully we'll see you at the next webinar. Good night. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.